In Kingston in New York, a woman called the police to inform them that she was in a parking lot near a gym called Planet Fitness, where she found her husband in his car unresponsive and showing no vital signs. Police arrived with paramedics who confirmed that the husband had passed away, and he was taken to the hospital to issue a report on the cause of death. Officers examined the car and found no signs of violence. According to the wife, the man was young and had no health complaints, as he regularly went to the gym and took care of his health, which raised the police's suspicion that his death was not natural. Who is the deceased husband, and how did he lose his life? This case carries many shocking details and surprises that have stunned the investigators. On November 9, 2011, Detective Michael Thomas responded to a call when Tom Kolman was found dead in his car. He was a husband and father of 4. Detective Michael stated, "It was unusual. The way he was positioned in the car and the location of his car was very strange. He was indeed in the driver's seat, but was almost lying down as if asleep. There was nothing in the car indicating he had been attacked or suffered physical trauma." Linda Kolman, his wife, was the one who found him in the car. After realizing he hadn't shown up for work, she went out to find him. Linda knew he went to the gym in the mornings before heading to work, so when he didn't answer his phone, she went there looking for him. For the investigators, the whole situation was strange. The car was parked far from any building. Why would Tom park his car next to the building? Why had he parked it about 1,800 miles away in Colorado? Tom had ex-wife Michelle, who couldn't believe he was dead. She and Tom had been divorced for 12 years but remained close. They had 2 children, Jillian, who was 15, and Bradley, who was 17. She had to inform their children of their father's death. Coleman Weber said, "I didn't know how to tell them, so I decided to end it by telling them the truth directly." Tom was a doctor, and his parents, Mary and Tom Sr., were proud of their son who had a doctorate in physical therapy. Tom Kolman focused on spending time with his family over friends, but he had one very close friend, Gilberto Nunez. Nunez was going through a divorce but remained a devoted father, and he often met with his children's school teachers. While police were on the scene, they saw a man running towards them asking what happened to his friend. That man was Gilberto Nunez. Nunez asked the detectives, "I don't see anyone trying to perform CPR, and I don't see anything happening. What's going on?" He then knelt down. Nunez, originally from the Dominican Republic, was a well-known doctor in Kingston with a thriving dental practice. He also volunteered as a medical personnel frequently. Mary Ellen McManus, who had spent the last 3 years as Nunez's assistant, said he was one of the best dentists she had ever worked with, never raising his voice or losing control when angry. However, the detectives had questions about Nunez. They were still awaiting the results of the final autopsy, but they recalled something from the day they met him. He arrived at the scene in a white SUV, and they believed surveillance footage, although extremely blurry, showed a white SUV as well. So, police called Nunez in for an interview 3 days after Tom's death. It was merely an information-gathering meeting. Detectives wanted to know what he had to tell them, and he had a lot to share. Nunez surprised them with strange revelations regarding his relationship with Tom's wife. He told police that he and Linda had a physical relationship but did not know if they were aware of this detail. The police had heard rumors about a romantic relationship between Nunez and Linda Kolman, but had not confirmed anything. It turned out they would receive all the help they needed from Nunez. He told police that he had fallen in love with Tom's wife, then continued detailing their 11-month-long relationship. Nunez mentioned to detectives that the last time he was with Linda was about 2 to 3 weeks prior. The investigators were shocked. Here was a man providing them with details of his relationship with the wife of a mysteriously deceased man, referring to him as his closest friend. Nunez stated he didn't want to hide anything from police, as they would eventually discover the truth, and this could make him look like a criminal or suspect. It might have been embarrassing, but it didn't stop Nunez. When not together, they exchanged text messages constantly like teenagers rather than midlife lovers. They celebrated their monthly anniversaries with cards from Linda to Nunez, whom she called "my little devil." When investigators asked if he had encouraged her to leave her husband at any point, he replied no, adding that their relationship was going well even after Tom learned about it. It is very likely that you've never heard of a romantic relationship like the one that Dr. Nunez had with his best friend's wife Linda, for one reason. Nunez wanted to tell his friend Tom Kolman everything about it. In July 2021, both Tom and Linda Kolman received text messages from a number neither of them recognized. The text messages informed each of them that the other was having an affair. The person who claimed that Tom was cheating was lying, but, of course, the person who said Linda was cheating was telling the truth. The unknown number belonged to Nunez, who admitted to sending the texts. He said he felt guilty about the affair, which is why he wanted to tell Tom. Regarding Tom's reaction, Nunez said, "First, he confronted her one day and said, 'I know you're having an affair with Nunez,' and she admitted it, saying, 'Yes, I am having an affair with him.' So for 3 or 4 days he didn't talk to me. Given that I tried calling him, it's not surprising that the friendship ended at that point. But after a few days, Nunez went to his friend asking for forgiveness, kneeling and saying he felt very sorry. Tom asked him to stand and hugged him. It was an unexpected response from Tom, as Nunez had expected him to hit him. The strange thing was that Tom Kolman and Nunez's friendship continued, and even stranger was that the affair continued as well. Perhaps the strangest of all, according to Nunez, was that both relationships grew stronger. This love triangle was news to the rest of Tom's family, who didn't discover it until after his death. Tom's mother was shocked and couldn't believe her son would agree to something like that. Yet his ex-wife said that the Tom she knew would do anything to keep his family intact, even if it meant allowing his wife to be with another man. Tom was not just Nunez's friend but also his patient, and Nunez informed police about Tom's medical history during that interview 3 days after Tom's death. Nunez told detectives that Tom suffered from sleep apnea, which can cause people to stop breathing while sleeping. In fact, the autopsy indicated that Tom had an enlarged heart and mild obesity. However, after 2 weeks, the toxicology report came back indicating midazolam in his system. The amount of midazolam found in Tom's body typically wouldn't kill someone, but due to the absence of an explanation for why the drug was present in his body, his death was classified as acute midazolam poisoning. Detective Weiss stated, "The midazolam in his system changed everything." Police believe that Dr. Nunez met Tom Kolman outside the gym, and while sitting with him and talking, he gave him a cup of coffee laced with midazolam. Routine investigations led the detectives to eliminate other individuals who might have access to the midazolam. Therefore, police also looked into other people in Tom's life, including his wife Linda, who worked at a local hospital. The police were still unable to establish much regarding Tom's death. How did this poison get into his system? If it was a cup of coffee, where was the cup? Was that Nunez's white car next to Kolman's car in the surveillance footage? And why was Tom's body found in such a manner? Investigators also noticed that Tom's zipper was down, leading them to believe Nunez had staged the scene to appear that Tom was engaged in some sort of activity when he died. Linda and Tom Kolman's house was never searched, and a search at the hospital where Linda worked found no missing midazolam. Thus, in February 2012, 2 months after Tom's death, the police called Nunez in again. The detectives informed him about surveillance footage showing his white vehicle, but he completely denied being at the location before Tom's death. Nunez remained unflappable during nearly 7 hours of interrogation. While being questioned, police searched his office and home, confiscating his desktop computer and files. But what caught their attention were 2 sets of medical emergency tools. Upon opening them, they found 2 vials of midazolam. Nunez had previously denied using them in his work. The midazolam, the drug found in Tom's body, were sealed and unopened vials in Nunez's office, with no fingerprints from Nunez on them or on Tom's car. In fact, when the police examined them, there was no trace of Nunez at all. However, investigators believed evidence against Nunez was piling up, suggesting he killed Tom out of jealousy over wanting Linda Kolman for himself. Investigators hired Grand Fredericks, who spent decades analyzing criminal video footage for law enforcement. The police obtained surveillance footage from the company all the way to the parking lot, which showed a vehicle they believed was the same one spotted next to Tom Kolman's car. They were unable to find any video of a vehicle leaving Nunez's residence. Nevertheless, they believed the car in the surveillance footage belonged to a Nissan Pathfinder owned by Nunez. Fredericks noticed something he thought would be extraordinary about the vehicle in the footage: an unusual light pattern emitted from one of the headlights. Frederick specialized in analyzing headlight spread patterns by comparing the front lights of two identical Nissan vehicles with the one emitted by the vehicle in the surveillance video. None of the two vehicles matched, but it did match the light emitted from Nunez's car. That could very well be his vehicle, and that might be really bad news for Nunez. For 4 years, Jillian Kolman did not know exactly what had happened to her father, as police had not shared much details with the Kolman family. About a year and 3 months after their father was killed, her brother Bradley committed suicide following struggles with anxiety, depression, and insomnia after their father's death. The poor boy had just turned 18. The Kolman family faced a death-related crisis while Nunez moved on with his life, continuing his work and engaging in online dating, where he met a woman who would become his new wife, who believed in his innocence regarding the murder charge of Tom Kolman. Just 1 year after their marriage, in October 2015, police arrested Gilberto Nunez and charged him with second-degree murder. In May 2016, more than 4.5 years after Tom Kolman's death, Gilberto Nunez's trial began. District Attorney's Assistant Marlene Albanese told the jury, "The only person with enough motive to kill Tom Kolman is Gilberto Nunez." But unfortunately, the jury found Nunez not guilty of committing murder. This verdict did not sit well with Tom's widow and Nunez's former lover Linda, who felt he was a deranged killer that evaded justice. Tom's daughter Jillian, who had become a college student, commented, "Nothing can bring back my dad and brother, even if he gets a life sentence. I think of them every day and hope my dad would be proud of me." Nunez was convicted of other criminal charges related to a fake CIA identity found on his computer, a charge that carries a penalty of up to 14 years in prison. Later, in a separate legal matter, Nunez was convicted of fraud and theft concerning false insurance claims, and he also faced another trial later for providing false information regarding a gun permit application. So, what do you think, dear viewers? Do you believe Nunez is truly innocent, or is he a deranged criminal that escaped justice?